Hi, I'm Wei-Lun Huang. I'm going to present our work accepted by IEEE Journal of Biomedical and Health Informatics, a shape-aware total body photography system for in-focus surface coverage optimization. It is a joint work between me, Joshua Liu, Davut Tashayod, Jun Khan, Amir Ganshbek, Misha Katstan, and Mera Amand. Total body photography is becoming a useful screening tool for patients at high risk for skin cancer. Several TPB systems have been proposed. However, there are still challenges of image quality in total body photography. First, the system resolution is insufficient. It is reported that the system resolution should be at least 0.075 mm per pixel for reliable detection of lesion size of 1.5 mm. Unlike dermoscopy images, the system resolution of total body photography is insufficient for classifying lesion types. Second, the image sharpness is limited by camera's depth of field. What does it mean? To understand this, we need to talk about what depth of field is first. Given an acceptable circle of confusion, for a given focus distance, we can compute the near and far depth of field limit. Only for the object that's within this depth of field, the orange range inside the figure, would it appear sharp in an image. The right-hand side is an animation demonstrating how depth of field changes with changing focus distance. More formally, the depth of field can be computed using the distance of subject, f number, circle of confusion, and focal length. Here, we want to note that for high system resolution, we need either a short camera-to-subject distance or using large focal length lenses. Both of them will give us shallow depth of field. Therefore, there's a trade-off between the system resolution and the depth of field of the system. Now, we understand the challenges of total body photography. Here, we would like to formulate the total body photography scan as a multi-view capture that's limited by camera's depth of field. The problem is formulated as follows. Given the 3D mesh of a patient, the camera poses in a scan, we would like to solve for a focus distance for each camera pose, so that we can reduce the area of the poorly imaged surface of the patient. The optimization problem can be expressed in the equation below. What's this monster? Don't worry, let's talk about it term by term. First, for each camera, given its focus distance, we can compute the focus distance cost relative to a point. Then, for each point, we can compute the cost per point as the minimum focus distance cost among all the cameras. Now, we have the cost per point. We can define the total focus distance cost as the summation of the cost per point over the entire surface of the subject. Finally, the optimization problem is equivalent to solving the focus distances that minimize the total focus distance cost. Now, let's talk about how we define the focus distance cost. Recall that the focus distance cost is defined for a camera given its focus distance relative to a point. The focus distance cost is determined by three terms. The first term is the projected area of the point onto the image plane of the camera. The higher the projected area, the lower the focus distance cost. The second term is the optical axis deviation of the point. The larger the deviation, the higher the cost. The last term is the proximity of the point to the focal plane of the camera. The proximity is defined as an indicator function, and this cost term equals to 0 if the point is within the depth of field, otherwise 1. Then, the focus distance cost is just a weighted average of the three cost terms. Now, we can introduce the shape-aware focus proposed by this paper that optimizes the in-focus surface area in total body photography. Given the input point cloud that's uniformly sampled over the 3D mesh of the patient and the camera poses, we initialize the focus distances, and then we use the standard expectation-minimization method to optimize the focus distances. The EM method consists of 2 steps. The first step is the assignment step. Given the focus distances, we would like to solve for an assignment that, for each point, we would like to find out the camera that the point is assigned to. This is solved for each point by finding the camera that minimizes the focus distance cost. The second step is the minimization step. Now, given the assignment, we would like to solve for focus distances for all the cameras that minimize the total focus distance cost. We iterate this process until convergence, or until the maximum iterations is met. Finally, we have output for 2 things. First, the assignment function. For each point, we know the camera that the point is assigned to. Second, the focus distances for all the cameras. As a proof of concept, we created a TBB system to validate our method. Here's the imaging protocol with the proposed shape-aware focus. We first calibrate our system to acquire the camera poses we need as an input of the method. Then, for a new subject, we will perform a quick scan using the depth sensors to acquire the 3D mesh of the subject. That's the other input we need for our method. With the 2 required inputs, we use the shape-aware focus to solve for the focus distance at each camera pose. Finally, we perform a formal scan to capture images using the determined focus distances at the calibrated camera poses. Here's the quantitative result of the system in terms of the system resolution and in-focus surface area. We evaluated the system in 2 ways. First, we evaluated the system in simulation using the 400 human meshes from the 3D body text dataset. We also evaluate the system in a real scan using a mannequin. Recall that for the system resolution, we would like to achieve the 0.075 mm per pixel criteria for detecting small lesions. As for the in-focus surface area, we compared the proposed shape-aware focus with 2 baseline methods. The first one is closest focus, that is, for each camera within the field of view using the closest depth value as its focus distance. The second one is average focus. Similarly, for each camera within the field of view, use the average depth value as its focus distance. For the figure in the bottom right, we visualize a point in red if it's out of focus, and visualize the point in green if it's in focus. Here, we can see that the proposed shape-aware focus has a larger in-focus surface area. Here's the qualitative result. We demonstrate that the proposed shape-aware focus can acquire images well for difficult body parts, such as the inner part of the hand and the inner part of the knee. In conclusion, in this work, we formulate the TBB scanning problem as a multi-view capture when restricted to determining the camera's depth of field. We also propose the use of EM method to optimize the in-focus surface area by optimizing focus distances. We prototype the shape-aware TBB system to validate our method on simulation data as well as a real scan of a mannequin. In the future, we would like to optimize for camera poses based on the 3D shape of the patient to further improve the surface coverage. We also would like to acquire multiple scans of a subject in different poses in order to deal with commonly occluded body parts such as armpit, scalp, and bottom of the feet. Thank you very much.